Hi, it's Dwyer. Today is December the 6th, 2017. GamblersAdvisory.com, dwyervip.com, both free sites. Let's talk about a lot of things in boxing, right? But first, remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. You know, this is really a give and take forum. There are many times involving specific fighters where I learn a lot from the public, where there's a bubble out there where people actually believe that a guy's a warrior. And I have no clue until I read the comments. Now, let me just say, many of you have strongly voiced your opinion in the comment section of prior videos that Anthony Joshua is special, that he's really a paradigm shift, that he's the Mike Tyson of this generation, that he's a dominant champion who deserves to be mentioned with real proven, that's the word, proven champions, like a Tyson in his prime or like a Lennox Lewis, right? Or a Vladimir Klitschko in his prime, right? There are times where I've been on the wrong side of the play here. I've made wrong predictions here online that people in the comment section, as I made the prediction, have cautioned me and said, you're misjudging a fighter, right? This year, one notable fight was the Anthony Joshua-Vladimir Klitschko fight. I picked Klitschko in that fight, folks. I have to be blunt here. I did not think that fight was going to be close, right? I was more diplomatic in the video than my private thoughts, right? In the video, I said, hey, I like the underdog Vladimir Klitschko. Privately, I thought, man, how is this Joshua guy even going to go the distance, right? Many of you said, hey, you know, times have changed. Joshua's young. Klitschko's yesterday. He's old. Joshua hits like a truck. And, of course, you turned out to be right. Joshua wins that fight by late stoppage, right? As an aside, I was going to take Klitschko in the rematch before Klitschko decided to retire, right? I remain unconvinced by Joshua's win over Klitschko. I thought Klitschko gave that fight away. He had a young guy on the canvas hurt, right? When Joshua gets up, he's in far worse shape than Klitschko was when Klitschko got up earlier in the fight. And for some reason, Vladimir Klitschko, at least to these eyes, let him off the hook. But be that as it may, I'll concede that Joshua exceeded my expectations in that fight. I'll concede that Klitschko is one of the dominant people in the last decade and a half in the heavyweight division, and Joshua beat him by stoppage. I'll concede that Joshua's uppercut late in that fight that started the dominoes to fall was one of the best uppercuts I've seen in my entire time watching boxing. Now, all of that said, let's keep boxing real. I'm calling on the British press right here, right now, to show up to Anthony Joshua appearances and to ask Joshua why he won't take 65%. Folks, that's a huge purse in a unification match. 65%. To have fellow champion Joseph Parker come to the United Kingdom. In other words, it's not just 65%. It's 65% with home field advantage. Right? I want the press to say, Joshua, aren't you embarrassing yourself? Aren't you embarrassing the heavyweight division by refusing to take a unification match at home? for 65% of the purse. Folks, this is an embarrassment. I understand it. I understand it because having gotten the Joshua Klitschko fight wrong, I'm taking Parker in this fight. Look, it's nothing against Joshua, and I'm serious when I say that. Right? It's just that I've got to go where the film takes me. I see a guy who doesn't move as well as Joseph Parker. Right? I see a guy who's a bit clunky. I see a guy who gets winded in the middle of fights. Now, I'm not saying Parker is the ideal fighter. Parker himself gets a little bit distracted, but there's a difference between a fighter getting winded like Joshua, looking clunky and clumsy like Joshua, who can't get low, who can't hide his upper body, and a fighter like Parker who at times seems bored in the ring and doesn't seem urgent enough. Let me also point out, too, that I thought Parker looked great in a very tough fight against Hughie Fury, one of the tougher guys in the heavyweight division. I thought Parker moved faster and cut off the ring better in that fight against a guy with great legs at heavyweight than Anthony Joshua could. So understand the hesitation here by the Joshua people. Right? Keep in mind, Parker's giving away the store here. Parker's saying take 65%. I'll fight in the UK. I'll give you a rematch clause. Right? Parker, an unbeaten heavyweight champ, has given away the store. And Joshua won't close the deal. That should tell you all you need to know about Joshua's level of confidence, about the level of confidence of the people around him with regard to Joseph Parker. That should also tell you how confident Joseph Parker is about his abilities. Right? Let me also say, too, that Joshua needs to tread carefully here, because unification fights are big deals. Deontay Wilder has already come out and has said, look, I'm not going to fight Joshua unless I get 50-50. I hope Joshua Googles the beliefs of Richard Parsons, an executive. He was with AOL and a few other companies, who's a personal hero of mine. Parsons believed in karma. Right? He believes that the best bit of advice he ever got was when you negotiate, leave something on the table. Understand, the people you see on your way up are the people you see on your way down. What goes around comes around. Does Joshua think he's getting ripped off? Getting 65% of the purse with the rematch clause, with the opportunity to fight at home in a unification match? British press, you need to burst this guy's bubble. Simply put, he's a young, unproven fighter in his 20s. He's not that good. Right? This guy seems to think he's prime Ali. He seems to think he's prime Lennox Lewis. Right? Give me a break. The fights you proved that in are unification matches against unbeaten fellow champions like Joseph Parker. Joshua, who's not getting ripped off, getting 65% of the purse, should leap at this opportunity. Stop beating around the bush. If Eddie Hearn and Joshua aren't serious in the negotiations, they should just say so and move on. Stop pretending that your guy's willing to fight Joseph Parker when he clearly isn't. Let's talk about another fight. And here in the United States, and I have no idea how this happens. None. Right? Here in the United States, somehow this fight isn't on TV. Right? Somehow the suits at these pay stations in charge of signing up big fights for their subscribers doesn't feel that a unification match at cruiserweight between current champion and Olympic gold medalist and unbeaten Alexander Usyk and unbeaten Breidis. Right? Keep in mind, Breidis has already knocked off currently reigning heavyweight champion Manuel Char. Somehow American TV thinks that this fight doesn't deserve to be shown. Who are the yahoos making these decisions at these television outlets? This is beyond embarrassing. Well, it gets worse. I think Usyk is going to win the fight. I'll make a video on that later. But understand, it's just gotten tougher for him, because the fight's going to be in Breidis' backyard. Right? They just announced that the fight's going to be in Lafayette. Right? So all I'm saying is keep an eye on this fight. I'm just telling you that both the winner and the loser of this fight would have a real shot on some of these overrated heavyweight champions like, yes, Anthony Joshua. Let's also call out a living legend here. Right? Someone has to, because really the hype on this Lomachenko Rigo fight, many of you are upset with the fact that I pronounce it Rigondio. Okay, I'll make you happy. Correct me as needed. Rigo, right, fight has gotten so ridiculous, so over the top, that people like one of my all-time favorites, Roy Jones Jr., are now saying that this fight in boxing history is the best ever on paper. Roy, you deserve a red cup for that stupidity. You know better. You know a lot better. Right? You were involved in a bigger fight than this, weren't you? Roy was unbeaten when he fought unbeaten James Toney. Well, let's just talk about boxing history for a moment. You know, Jim Jeffries was unbeaten. He was a retired heavyweight champion. Think it through. People came to him and said, look, Jack Johnson is ripping through the heavyweight division. You need to come out of retirement to fight Jack Johnson. Folks, they built a stadium for this fight. Jeffries was the great white hope. Right? Let's just say the hype on that fight far exceeds the hype on this fight, doesn't it? Let me also point out, too, the obvious. Jeffries, former heavyweight champion, was a real heavyweight. Johnson was a real heavyweight. He was the reigning heavyweight champion. Lomachenko and Rigo don't even fight in the same division, folks. This fight's a charade. It's an illusion compared to the great fights in history. You want another great fight? How about the return of a champion in exile, an unbeaten one? Muhammad Ali, Olympic gold medalist, unbeaten, stripped of his belts. He comes back to fight an Olympic gold medalist, unbeaten. The guy who wins the belt while Ali is in exile, Joe Frazier. Now let me say this. You see the gray hairs here, right? I'm actually trying to look older, right? I meet people, they think I'm in my 30s. I'm like, come on, dude. So I'm trying to look older. But understand, in the entire time that I've followed boxing, I don't recall there being a fight as big as that one. Right? Two unbeaten, legitimate heavyweight champions at Madison Square Garden. You know what they say? Frank Sinatra couldn't even get a ringside seat. He had to get a press credential to watch that fight. Right? Folks, that fight was bigger, in my opinion, than Pacquiao Mayweather. right? Because Pacquiao-Mayweather was a little bit past its expiration date, right? Pacquiao had already lost some fights. By the time Pacquiao-Mayweather comes along, Ali and Joe Frazier were unbeaten. Right? Now you're telling me that this fight, where the guys aren't heavyweights, hey, life's unfair. I'm not saying life's fair here, but the heavyweight division casts a long shadow, doesn't it? Now you're telling me this fight, where Lomachenko already has a loss, right? Where the guys aren't even the same age, right? Where the guys haven't been fighting in the same weight class. You're telling me that this fight is the best fight on paper in boxing history? You got to be kidding me. Understand, again, at heavyweight, in the 80s we had unbeaten Michael Spinks, the man who beat, let's be clear on it, Larry Holmes, the guy who beats Jerry Cooney by stoppage. He fought then unbeaten heavyweight champion Mike Tyson in a heavyweight unification match. You're telling me this Lomachenko-Rigondeaux fight compares with that fight? Come on now. Whatever. To those of you who feel differently, I want you to leave your comments in the comment section to this video. Okay? Now let me do this too. Now I admit I've been on the wrong side of some plays. I admit you, the public, have tried to steer me right. Right? The people who said Joshua would beat Vladimir Klitschko. Right? I like the underdog in that fight. The people who said Jermall Charlo, and there were many of you, would beat Erickson Lubin, the underdog in that fight, who I picked. Okay, you were right, I was wrong. But this is that rare fight here where I'm taking the favorite, Lomachenko. Folks, I'm not even being daring here. I'm not even being creative. Fight looks like a mismatch to me. I'm taking the favorite. Right? I'm one of those boring squares at the casino taking the obvious pick. Right? This is one of those rare fights where a lot of people I respect deeply here online are saying, no, you're wrong. This is a great fight. This is going to be the Jackal's biggest moment. Rigondeaux is confident. He's going to pull it off. Right? What I want to do is to make this a two-way conversation, because it's not about my opinions, right? Even I get tired with my opinions. This fight especially. To me, it's clear. I see younger, I see bigger, I see faster, I see more active, I see faster foot speed, I see faster hand speed. And I'm thinking, you know, I see better athlete, I see better volume, and I'm thinking, come on now, how are they selling this fight as a close fight to the public? Right? For me, this isn't even the kind of fight where, you know, I got to watch a lot of tape. All I have to do is see Lomachenko against Jason Sosa, very good fighter, who I thought was going to do much better against Loma, and see Loma just overwhelm him with spectacular footwork. And then I see Rigondeaux on the canvas in some fights. Let's be real here. You remember them. I see him with low volume, right? Low volume. You're watching the round, and you know the number of punches he throws, right? Let's say Guillermo's not going to be confused with Sugar Ray Leonard, right? Leonard's throwing combinations. You're like, how many punches did Leonard throw in that round? I don't know. Right? Rigondeaux, you could say, you know, he threw about 30 punches in that round, right? I mean, come on. So what I want here, and this is, you know, really something I'm going to read intently, is to hear from the Rigondeaux crowd exactly what advantages they think he has over Lomachenko. right? As I said here, I'd be stunned if someone with a straight face has hand speed. Think about the angles, folks. Loma is ambidextrous. I don't care what he's listed as. You look at his fights, he's righty, he's southpaw, right? He can fight out of both stances. Look at the volume. It's not like Loma's going to come in, maintain that defensive construct, and throw more punches than Lomachenko. Right? Rigondeaux, in my opinion, is going to throw fewer punches every round. Look at their weights in the amateurs. Understand, Loma's actually big for the weight he's fighting at. So, I know people are all caught up on a rehydration clause and stuff like that. Folks, Loma is one of the best athletes in boxing. Right? You know that from the fact that the guy is so fluid. By the fact that the guy can just physically overwhelm a Jason Sosa. Can have Nicholas Walters with an unbeaten record in the corner decide, that's it for me. I'm not going to be back out here with this guy. Right? He's a great athlete. They can have a rehydration clause. This is not a Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Right? This is not a guy who's going to be impacted by the rehydration clause. Loma's going to make weight. He's going to do so comfortably. He's in great shape. When you see great athletes like this, who are always in shape, you don't have to worry about rehydration clauses. So, to the public here, tell me where I'm wrong. This doesn't look like the best fight ever on paper in boxing history. That's not the way I see it. I see the fight as a mismatch. Bob Arum, and Bob's fair, right? Bob has fights where he doesn't pick his fighter to win by KO over an unbeaten opponent. Here he's picking Lomachenko to win by KO in this fight. Right? I mean, not decision. KO. Right? The people Loma should be fighting, in my opinion, should be, Mikey Garcia, Jorge Linares. Right? Not guys from lower weight classes like Rigondeaux. And please don't fall too much in love with Olympic gold medals. Right? That's amateur fighting. That's not pro fighting. Let me go one step further too. I know people are going to say, oh gee, Orlando Salido beat Lomachenko. Right? Folks, Orlando Salido fights with a level of aggression and a volume that Rigondeaux doesn't. Rigondeaux is a chess player. He's there looking for openings. Right? He's trying to be strategic. The kind of guy who bothers Lomachenko is Salido. A guy who's not waiting for openings, but a guy who's a lead, who's trying to create openings. Who's relentlessly coming forward on his front foot, who is relentlessly going to the body. That's not Guillermo's style. So, let's stop making this about me. Let's make it about you. To the Guillermo Rigondeaux crowd, take as much space as you need in the comment section to this video. Make the case for your guy. Why isn't he an older, slower guy moving up in weight against a higher volume, faster, both foot speed and hand speed? Great athlete. Right? Tell us exactly where Rigondeaux is going to beat Loma on athleticism. Tell us if, why you feel so strongly in Rigondeaux's chances that you think his punching power is even on par with Lomachenko's. Understand, I know Loma's not getting KOs. I know I myself criticize Loma. KOs where the guy hits the canvas, right? Loma's getting a lot of KOs where Nicholas Walters says, that's it. Jason Sosa's corner says, that's it. Right? You don't see a lot of guys actually hitting the canvas against Loma. But again, that's against guys in his division. That's against big, strong guys in his division. Wasn't that Sosa who just went the distance with Yorkis Gamboa? By the way, he beat Gamboa. Let's be real. I don't know what fight the judges were seeing. Right? Those are the guys who are quitting. Yeah, that's it for me. They're the ones quitting against Loma. Right? What leads you to believe that Guillermo Rigondeaux is not going to do the same? Right? You had unbeaten. Nicholas Walters gave up his unbeaten record. Right? Loma against a smaller, slow-moving guy with less volume is going to be very dangerous, folks. Right? I think it's a mismatch. I'll be surprised if there isn't a stoppage, especially since Rigondeaux has been down in other fights. Right? Tell us why that's wrong. You did in the comment section of my Anthony Joshua Vladimir Klitschko fight. You did in the comment section of my Jamel Charlo Erickson Lubin fight. Do it here, I need to know. Right? Because really, while I have action on Loma, right, I'm planning to put even more action on Loma. Tell me why that would be the wrong move in the comment section here to this video. Let me hear from you. I look forward to reading your comments, and thanks for stopping by.